right center. That ball is gone into Monument Park.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the 29th episode of the Monument Park podcast. I'm Cole Weintraub.
And I'm Luke Profacci.
And wow. The New York Yankees went on an absolute tear, and we loved every second of it. We did it all, and we showed that we were capable of being a complete baseball team that can do a ton of damage at the dish and also pitch lights out on any given day. I think it's safe to say that the New York Yankees are a top 2 team in the American League, and that's music to the ears of New York Yankee fans. I'm sitting here with a New York Yankee fan. You guys might know him. Luke, how about them Yankees?
I mean, felt like August last year. It's a crazy streak. And we beat up on the Blue Jays, which was big. Could get 2 out of 3 in their house. And then I feel like it set us up well because we have to play them again soon. And just winning the games that we were supposed to win is big too, because that's something we didn't do last year. And it ended up being the reason we were stuck in the wild card game instead of potentially winning the division. So I think this is a good start. I definitely think we got to go take care of the Rangers and all other series like that, because if we play good against them and then do what we know we can do against the good teams, we should be in good shape.
I totally agree. And we're going to break down it all in this episode, going back all the way back to April 26th, where we were in the thick of our winning streak. But before we get started, I want to say thank you to everybody at WJPZ Radio, also known as your party station Z89, for affiliating the Monument Park podcast. As we have said, we couldn't have done it without our supporters, and we are super excited to continue the grind at Z. And it's just a really cool opportunity, and we're really hyped. Luke, anything on that?
No, I mean, I knew it was coming for a while, obviously, but it's just cool to see how we started, and then now it's paying off. It's pretty much, I'm excited about that for sure. I think it'll make it a lot better.
Well, they do say hard work pays off, so here we are. Luke, April 26th, 12-8 win against the Orioles. It's all you.
Yeah, 12-8. It was kind of a muggy, rainy game this day, I remember, and Sevy was just dealing. He finished with 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 4 earned runs, but it really didn't feel like that. He just ran into some trouble at the end. Santander hit a 3-run home run that just wasn't really, it was weird. It was, I don't know. He looked very good. It was more a look thing with him that day. That was like, all right, this guy's back and he can be a 2. He had a no-hitter for a while, actually. He was dialed in. But the real story of this game was Anthony Rizzo. I mean, he hit 3 homers for the first time in his career. 2 of them were complete porch jobs, which made it even better, because it just goes back to the philosophy where we used to have all these big hitting lefties and then you would get extra runs like that. But then for a while we had all righties, and it was like, oh, well, they could hit them oppo, but if they just miss it, it doesn't make sense. So it was good to see that, because that's going back to the philosophy that I think the Yankees should have. And I mean, that was really the story of the game. We were hitting bombs. Gallo hit a shot to left center finally. Thank God. Kind of sparked him a little bit. And then we just had RBI hits from Stanton, and then Gleyber cleared the bases. He's had some big hits with runners on base. And then Judge and Rizzo did it kind of in garbage time, but it actually proved to be pretty valuable, because this was the one game that our bullpen kind of faltered. Loizaga let up a bomb to Hayes. And then, Sevy kind of faltered a little bit at the end. And then, Licky let up the bomb. Loizaga came and let up another run. So it was getting close. It was 10-8. And then those home runs really capped it off. That was kind of uncharacteristic out of our bullpen. They haven't done a whole lot of that this year. So it felt good that we escaped that game with a win, because, again, it was just kind of a weird game from start to finish. These types of games, it makes me kind of realize that this team's actually good, because last year those are the games that we would usually drop, where it's something goes wrong, Santander gets into one, Hayes hits a bomb, 2-3-run shots. Usually you're not going to win that game. But the offense really came through at a time where they had struggled at times back when this game had been played. They've obviously picked it up since then, but even now there's still games where they kind of drop blanks. So it was good to see them pick up our staff a little bit. Do you have anything else on that?
I mean, not really. 8 runs of the Orioles is only okay when you put up 12 runs. I mean, yeah, obviously if you put up 9 runs, but it's just like the offense was so good. We had a lot of padding. It was good to see. Nice. Luke's just first day with the new mouth, and it's fine. Yeah, like I said, you put up so many runs, your pitching can, pitch. I feel like what they were doing is they were pitching with the lead, and that's something that I learned when I was pitching is like you don't gotta like hit corners and stuff. You have a big lead, you let him hit it. So I think we were susceptible to that in this game, and that's fine. 12-8 win. And that goes into the next game, April 27th. And from the jump, Stanton homered, and he just had a great game overall. He had another hit, a sac fly. And at that point, he had been struggling really, really badly. And we said at the end of the last episode that we weren't concerned about Stanton. And then, like a lot of what me and Luke talk about comes to life. He started to turn the page. It was clear to me that he was turning a page in a slump. So, 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a run scored. Like, great night. Gallo homered again, back-to-back games. I didn't even remember this. So that's good to see. Joey hitting Joey Jackson two games in a row. This game was very boring. You had Santander homer for his second straight day. That guy hits as well. That was in the 6th inning. So, it tied the game at 1. Montgomery, got pulled after that home run. I think he hit another batter. So, stalling, get to the 6th inning. Stanton hits a sac fly, knocks in LeMahieu. So that was good to take the lead. Joey jacked one in the 7th inning. And then, Falefa scored on a wild pitch in the 7th inning. So we really didn't have to do too much. And it's just because our pitching is just so phenomenal. You get 5 2/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs from Monty, 4 strikeouts. You get Michael King, 2 1/3, a hit, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. I mean, the guy is awesome. Michael King, everything the guy throws works. Everything he throws moves. Anywhere he wants to put the ball, he puts it. And it's just great. It's great to see because Michael King was a struggling starting pitcher. He struggled as a starting pitcher. And when you struggle as a starting pitcher, you get deemed as the failed starter. They put you in the bullpen. And especially in this long relief role, it's closest to being a starting pitcher. He's doing a great job. And I know he wants to be a starting pitcher. He's voiced that, but he's so perfect in this role. And I don't want the Yankees, messing with it. You had Holmes come in with a 2 strikeout save in the 9th, very low stress, and just, you kind of love those wins. And you're up 2 games on the Orioles in the series, and you're coming into the day game. And, coming into the day game, especially during the week, I feel like the Yankees struggle in the day games during the week, especially in early April. So I figured this was going to be a punt game, but, clearly it wasn't.
Yeah, this is the classic punt game, especially when the Orioles take an early lead. That's never good. If you score first, it's almost like, all right, we got to turn it on because we could actually win this game. But they were up 2-0 after 3, which is with Tyone on the mound. He's been really good, but there were games last year where he would give up a couple of runs and that would just be it. And it kind of gave me one of those vibes. But we just started hitting, and I've talked to Cole about this actually a lot. We don't really have too many rally starters. Someone has to get it going and then it's going to go, but sometimes nobody gets it going. And this was a day. I mean, we had Marwin with the spark. He hit a double to score like Castro, who's Cole's new guy. I mean, he's so fast. He's unreal.
I mean, I have to talk about him now. I'm getting impatient. The New York Yankees, and I know they had him last year, they are so fortunate to have a guy like Tim Castro. This guy gets in these pinch runs, and he just attracts so much respect. Guys are picking off 3-4 times at first base. When was the last time the Yankees had that? Yeah, sure, they had Tyler Wade, but he was known for his defense, and he could hit a little bit. But Castro is just your premier base stealer, and it's awesome. It's awesome to have. He's so fast, and I think Tim Castro could play on the outside for a few NFL teams. I mean, just running in a straight line. The guy is so fast, and he's got to turn the corner and get to the next base. That double that Marwin hit, I don't know if I've seen a baseball player run that fast. I mean, he was flying. And it's just so valuable on a team, especially a good team, because in October, you're going to need those guys. Just ask Dave Roberts.
And Dave Roberts, man. No, yeah. Marwin started it. The Castro flying kind of gave us a little spark, and you can see it. Judge got a hit, RBI, Rizzo hit, Stanton hit. We would have kept going. Donaldson swung 3-0, and he smoked it right to third. Like, I don't know. You can't swing 3-0 and not hit a double play. That's, as far as unwritten rules go, that should be pretty high because that's not something that's acceptable. But I think he's still kind of trying to find his groove, pressing a little bit. He's hit some big hits. Me and Cole the reverse Hicks because he looks like terrible in the stat sheet, but he'll come up late in the game and do something good. The thing about veterans is they'll figure it out, but he just has to kind of relax and realize he's not like the alpha anymore. He's a veteran. We just need him to hit the ball hard, not do too much, not throw the ball away on defense, which we'll see later. He just kind of has to relax a little bit, but that didn't really seem to matter. Marwin got another sack fly. Marwin's been good, sneaky good bench piece, underrated. Donaldson redeemed himself with the RBI knock, and then LeCastro scored on a wild pitch. And then Judge capped it off with a 3-run shot, and this sent him on a tear. He went on an absolute tear in the coming series, and I think this is definitely something that boosted him, and that shows you, I mean, sometimes garbage time, it doesn't matter for that particular game, but it can spill over into the next series. Like the next 6 games, Judge played like the best player in the world, and that could come from these home runs late in the game.
For sure. I totally agree. But is there a better player out there than Aaron Judge against a bad team? I mean, he kills the Orioles. He kills bad pitching, and I'm totally fine with it because there's plenty of bad starting pitching in the American League. I mean, you get your great pitching in the National League, but like you play these bad teams, their starters are terrible. I mean, the Orioles are running out guys that you've never heard of. The Royals have guys that have proven that they're just not any good. Judge just kills them, and like it's really good. And like, you know, you could say like, oh, it's a meaningless, blah, blah, blah. No, but like you need to win the game. Someone's got to do it, and Judge does it. So, like you said, like I didn't even think about it like that. Like those home runs that they hit late in the game, any base hit they hit late in the game, it's just so important because especially for a guy like Judge, just get him going. And when Judge get going, like he is just like so good, like so hard to pitch to. Like we'll talk about it later on in the Toronto series, but like when he's locked in, he takes like every pitch that's out of the strike zone, no matter how close it is. Like he can take anything. And I think it's just really impressive how, you know, he's become so disciplined and he's not swinging at like terrible pitches like he was when he was younger. I mean, that's, you know, your young ball player, but Judge has just really just been awesome.
Yeah, no, that pretty much sums up the end of the Orioles series. The bullpen redeemed itself. Everybody pitched well out of the bullpen except for Marinaccio. That was the end of the Marinaccio experience, I guess. But I mean, everyone else threw scoreless. Miguel Castro came in, got a batter. Wandy got 2. Loaizaga scoreless. Like they all let up hits, which is a little weird, but I don't know. Something about the Orioles, I feel like just gets to this team in a weird way, and we were still able to sweep them. So I'm not going to complain too much, especially with how we performed in the next games. And with that, we went to Kansas City. Typical trap Kansas City series coming off a sweep. But, I mean, it didn't catch up to us too bad this time.
I mean, that's right. And one thing about the Orioles, like the Orioles play the Yankees the hardest. Like they always do. They're not going and playing the Twins with their best pitchers. They're going out there and they're doing their thing. And I think, you know, they've got hitters. You know, they add like a guy like Rougned Odor. Like you wouldn't think much of it on the surface, but like as a Yankee fan, I know Odor is just going to want to kill the Yankees more than anything. Like I know we didn't have any like bad Rugi like experience, like we cut him or anything. Well, yeah, we did actually. We cut him and we weren't paying him anything. So maybe that's why he wants to kill the Yankees so much. I take back what I said, but it's just, you know, they've got hitters and they want to beat us so bad because they know like they're not making the playoffs. So they want to do what they can to knock off the New York Yankees. And I understand it. And I'm actually happy because if, they just lay down like that, it's like you're not like getting any better. So like when they're like giving your best, you can kind of like people want to like take away these Oriole games, like when Gleyber was hitting all those home runs, but like you gotta count them because you gotta take into account that they're playing their best baseball, or they're trying to, against the Yankees. So that's kind of where I was going for that. So yeah, like Luke said, we go to Kansas City and it's the Apple TV game. And I don't know if Luke watched much of it. This was during the NFL draft. The cameras used in that game, the cameras that they use on the Apple TV Friday games are beautiful. I mean, they're getting up close and personal with the hitters, and like it's just 4K, and it's really cool to look at. And I think baseball is kind of evolving in that sense. Like, you get the Apple deal this year. I feel like you're going to start seeing more 4K cameras. You see it in the NFL. So hopefully that, shifts over to baseball, because you kind of see it in a different lens. It just shows the true beauty of the sport. And I personally love that. I want to start this game out. I know, a lot happened in the first inning, but I want to talk about Nestor, because Nestor's been lights out, like so lights out. His ERA is just so low. And he came into this game and it was pretty evident that like he didn't really have his best stuff. And I was kind of getting a little nervous. Like, is Nestor kind of falling off? Because I always have it in the back of my mind, that Nestor is going to like tumble off and people are going to like figure him out. But 5 innings, 8 hits, only 1 run. And like, I was watching the game, like, I'm not exaggerating. Like, his stuff wasn't really there. Like, he wasn't throwing like backdoor cutters like he was against the Orioles when he struck out like 25 batters. Like, he didn't have it. And he wiggled through 5 innings and gave up 1 earned run. So just a really good performance. And when you can trust a guy like that, I mean, that's great. Like, that shows a trust that you can have in a pitcher when they're just so just good when they're bad. You know what I mean? So like I said, we jumped on him early. Rizzo hit a home run, left center field. Just a beautiful swing, because you don't really see Rizzo going the other way. So when he goes left center like that, beautiful. So that was a 2-run shot, 415 feet. Then Stanton comes up and he throws him like an outside pitch, and Stanton like lifts his back leg and completely swings his arms, and he just pummeled it. He knew it was gone off the bat. So it's 3-0 instantly. Bottom of the first, nothing's ever easy. Salvador Perez comes up, doubles, makes it 3-1. And then the following inning, Michael Taylor got to Cortez, knocked in Olivares. Olivares just kept hitting us. And every time the guy came up to the plate, I was a little nervous. So the game stalled. Yanks were up 3-2 to the 8th, or to the 7th inning. Nestor went through 5. Then Loizaga came in and Green came in, both through scoreless innings. But in the top of the 7th inning, LeMahieu singled, Tanaka, Kiner, Falefa. You had Judge homer, 3-run shot, I believe. Yeah, it made it 7-2. I mean, that's the dagger. And here's Aaron Judge hitting a bad team. Perfect. So then Gleyber comes up, hits a home run in the 8th inning, 2-run shot, 9-2 Yankees. And then Higashioka hit a bases clearing double. And, it was 3-run double, 2-run double. Sorry, not bases. Wait, I'm sorry. Bases clearing double. I can't speak. Down the line. And, typical Higgy. So, the Yanks win. The bullpen. The game got called after 8 innings, and I wasn't really paying attention at the end because I saw the lead. I don't know if it was raining or they just like called a mercy rule, because that's kind of what I thought happened. So yeah, just a good all around win. It's like I said it in the last episode or maybe 2 episodes ago. Like, when you go into a road series and you just like whack them the first game, like on the road, it like really sets a tone, and it's clear in this series.
Yeah, it set the tone. They were defeated going into the Cole game, and he shoved. He threw 6 innings, only 5 hits, 2 walks, 6 Ks. Good to see him do it twice in a row, because obviously we know he can do it. Like, from time to time, that won't excite me if every once in a while he comes out and has this type of outing. But he did it twice in a row, and I still need to see it against a big team. But especially with how he started the season, I think that this is steps in the right direction for him to eventually being like the reliable ace, the best pitcher in New York, whatever you want to call him. Like we need to start somewhere. So that was what I took from this game. And it went kind of from a game where we just hit a bunch to really nothing. There was no hit to score a run. There's Kiner left a ground into a double play and then 2 sack flies. And that was pretty much all there was on the offensive side.
I just don't want to really cut you off, but it's kind of funny that like ever since we like said what we said about Glaber, Hicks, and Gallo, like episodes ago, maybe a couple episodes ago, like when the offense is like dreary and like not doing too much, it's just those three. You had 2 games from Glaber, Hicks, and Gallo. Like, where is that coming from in a game where we need you? Well, you know, it was a game that we did need them. We won 3-0, so good win. And you know, I'll let you talk about Joey G's injury because, of course, as soon as he starts hitting the ball well.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. He had a little groin thing, kept him out a couple days, but I don't know. He was good for a couple days after the start he had. I think it might have done more help than harm at the end of the day. And I'm also ready to not group Glaber with those other 2 anymore. I think he's out of that doghouse, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I mean they do kind of move as one, which is funny. And you'll see that in the last Toronto game. It's the same thing. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean the Gallo injury was the only other real story of the game. And then the bullpen again. It's almost like not even worth mentioning that the bullpen's shutting the door because they shut the door like every game in this stretch. But it's the same guys, Castro, Holmes, Chapman. For as much slack as Chapman's gotten, he's gotten bailed up by Mike King once. And that was it. And that was a big once because it was against Toronto. But we just need to keep him level-headed, and it should all be fine. It's the last year of him. Hopefully, honestly, I'm a little tired of him, but yeah, I mean, he's been kept it under control so far. I love the sack flies. I'm a big sack fly guy. This game was good for me. Nice, good pitching, sack flies, all around good vibes. Just again, this was like that boring Baltimore game. When you're a really good team, there's going to be games where you just kind of win them, and it's just on to the next. And I think this was definitely one of those.
On to the next. It's a weekend game. You've already won the first 2 games. You just expect a punt, right? And Judge in the first inning hits the furthest ball I've seen in a very long time. I mean, he came up there against Daniel Lynch, probably was like, who is this guy? Comes up there and just whacks it. Like the ball just kept, I was like, when is this ball gonna land? The ball just, sorry.
Say you think they slipped in a juice ball by accident because that thing was cranked. Like, oh my God. That's one of those you're sitting back watching the game, and even though you're watching it on a screen, like level-headed in front of you, you're still just like you just look up because it was like majestic. I haven't seen that in a minute, as you said. But I mean, if that was with a dead ball, then I don't want to know what he can do with the real ball or even the juice ball. He set the tone from the jump in this game, honestly.
Yeah, I thought the Yankees were going to score 10 runs, and I thought that home run was going to set the tone. And I'm going to have to disagree with you, but very kindly, because, you know, it didn't really set the tone because then, you know, you had the Royals score 3 third-inning runs. Michael Taylor homered. Like, where did that come from? Lopez scored on a wild pitch, and Carlos Santana doubled down the line. And on that double, DJ is holding the runner on, and you know, he comes off the base, but very slightly. He's not really in a first base spot. He's still like close to the base, and Santana only hits at 94 miles an hour down the line, and DJ just doesn't knock the ball down. I mean, he just dove and he missed it. He could have been off balance, and for a guy that we play at second base so much, if his range is lacking at first base, it's concerning because like it's going to get to a point in his career where his range is still not there. And yeah, I know he's 6'5", so like any dive should knock the ball down, but this one didn't. So
thinking back on it, I think he might have just missed the ball because he was right there. And it was frustrating in the moment because we were kind of tail spinning. But looking back on it, like we can let that slide. He's played every day. Like he's grinding. I'm not as mad as I was. I just saw some little Santana like over the bag stuff, and I was like, dude, come on. Yeah, I mean, we got it back, so it's all.
I think Luke was looking for the exit velocity off Carlos Santana's bat for like 3 hours and just couldn't find it. I think I found it in like 5 minutes, maybe 3, maybe 2. I don't know. So, fourth inning, and they're still not done scoring. You have, I forget where the runners were. Sorry. Cam Gallagher comes to the plate, their catcher. He comes up and bunts. And Donaldson's like, when there's a runner on second, there was a runner on second. I guess it may have been first and second. Donaldson's body's turned to second base because like the runner could steal, and he's got to get there to, catch the throw, because, if the guy's stealing, we're going to want to throw him out. Right. So then, he squares the bunt, he charges, he was already in, and he charges in, and it was a bad bunt. Like the guy, like he pummeled the bunt, like he hit it super hard, and Donaldson gets it and like turns the throw to second base, which you really don't see on bunts, but like this one was so bad that like you could have turned two. And, just to add to the negativity and his, lackadaisical defense, he chucks it into right field. A run scores, and I'm not happy. So, it's 4-1 Royals, and you're like, Severino, yeah, like, what are you doing? Like, come on, bro. And for as bad as I kind of looked at the start, he went 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk. If that's going to be his bad start, especially when the bullpen is just nails, shout out Brooks Kriske, I don't see a problem with it. Give me 5 innings, 3 runs every day. We should win, because this offense has shown that like they can score these runs, which they hadn't been doing a couple weeks ago. They can score these runs. They can win these games 5-3, 6-4, whatever. Just really good to see. It was very confusing though. Severino has been throwing this cutter, this new, evolved pitch that came out of nowhere. And he only threw it like, I think 2 or 3 times this game. And it's not something wrong with him. It's just, I don't really get the philosophy behind not throwing that pitch. And he also wasn't throwing fastballs and counts where he needed to throw a strike. He was throwing a lot of breaking balls, and it wasn't out of the zone. Sorry. It was just, he was just hanging everything.
That pitch that you're talking about, the new cutter, that's one of those pitches. Only special pitchers have them, where it always just generates like an audible reaction. Like I'm trying to think of other pitchers. Loizaga definitely has it when he throws that 98 bender. Michael King this year's had it. But that's one of those pitches where when he executes it, it's just perfect. It's like on the black, and it moves. It's beautiful. So now that you say that, I'm kind of wondering if he was like working on something. Like, I don't know what. He's strange, man. He's just a strange pitcher. Like, I don't know. There's just sometimes things like that with him happen. If 5 innings, 3 runs, would sign up for that every day of the week on a normal year. This, with how good our pitching's been, probably made it look a lot worse than it was. It really wasn't that bad when you take a deep breath and look at it from that standpoint.
And Severino's had a lot of time to, sit on his couch and think about what, good pitches he could throw. And he's also throwing this changeup, which he once threw, and he threw when he was healthy, but it's moving, it's diving. And like his changeup wasn't really doing that. And he said in his post-game interview, he just wasn't throwing enough fastballs. So yeah, I mean, not good to see, but 5 innings, 3 runs, so be it. Clark Schmidt came in this game and gave the Yankees a good inning. And after the game, they sent him down. And I don't know. Like Clark Schmidt's been really good, but he's been pitching so inconsistently. And like, I know the Yankees want to like, get him pitching more, because when you're like a young pitcher, I feel like you got to like pitch on like a somewhat consistent basis, because if you don't, then you might, struggle. And then you get put in a spot and you're not prepared. So I'm kind of thinking like Clark Schmidt getting sent down to the minors is all right. Like, he's just going to get his starts in there. I think they still see him as a starting pitcher, not a long reliever. And, just keep doing your thing, man. I mean, he said in his interview after the game, he said, he's feeling a lot better. Yeah, he was surprised. But he said that, it's the game of baseball. That's the business of baseball. He just gets sent down. He had a bunch of options. So that's another reason why they sent him down as well. It's not him, the pitcher. It's just like him, the role on the team with how good Michael King is. It just all sort of works. And I don't think the Yankees really want to mess with that. So Andujar actually started this game, and it was interesting because, he hadn't played much since he got called up. And he had 2 hits, which was really cool to see. And then he got sent down the next day. So he just doesn't have a role on the team. And it's disappointing because I wish he had a role elsewhere when we would have gotten value for him. So yeah, I mean, Luke, anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on Clark Schmidt. I honestly think how the beginning of the season went was perfect for Clark Schmidt overall, even though it may be frustrating to get sent down when you're kind of in a groove. But he got big outs. He got experience in like situations where we really needed outs. He got thrown in the fire a couple of times. I know against Detroit. I know there's at least one other time that I'm not remembering specifically. But yeah, he got more big league experience, which he hadn't had consistently in his whole career. And then now he gets to go start some games because that's the mold we're hopefully gonna mold him into next year. So yeah, I mean, I think all in all, he proved what he can do up here. And then now he's gonna go kind of get on the consistent track that you're talking about. So I really think this year's beneficial for Clark Schmidt so far. If he kind of accepts that he may not be in the big league club the whole year, he may come back later and whatnot. And then with Andujar, yeah, you said it. He doesn't have a position. That's pretty much what it is. He's definitely, I could see him being like a playoff roster type thing, come in, hit the ball. But there isn't too much to say other than Andujar. We've been banging that drum for years. That's just how it is. You just can't play defense.
And I completely blanked on talking about the offense. We fell behind 4-1, and the offense just went boom, 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 pow. And, Connor Falefa doubled in Andujar. You had DJ single in Falefa, so it was 4-3. You're still down a run. Judge comes in, hits a check swing, and it still knocks in the run because, good things happen to good players. Ties it up at 4. Donaldson comes up, grounds into a fielder's choice, makes it 5-4. Just like, yeah, they weren't getting hits, but they were doing their thing. And then Judge came up in the 9th inning, and this proved to be a pretty important insurance run. Hits the home run. Chapman came in, walked a guy, gave up a hit. So, if it was a 5-4 game, he may have, given up the lead. So it was good to see, Aaron, because that was a big home run. Yeah, I've been saying he hasn't been facing too many good pitchers, but I'm pretty sure it was off Barlow. So a solid arm. And, he hit it out. So, it's a big home run, and it just was continuing his tear. So, you sweep the Royals and you're going to Toronto, and this is going to be a tough series because Toronto's playing great baseball. They're right behind the Yankees. I believe they came into the series a game and a half back. They kept, the Yankees are winning all these games, and the Blue Jays are too. They're like staying afloat with them. And, you go off to Toronto and you just gotta keep playing good baseball. And, we saw good baseball for, 2 out of the 3 games. Luke, tell me about, the May 2nd 3-2 win over the Blue Jays.
We traveled to Toronto for probably our biggest series of the year, other than the other one against Toronto. Except this one, we're on the road. It's a little higher pressure. I would actually not higher pressure, but we have worse chances. And we went into this game favored, which I had a sneaky good feeling about. I don't know, just like if you're favored in Toronto, something's right. And we're going up against Ross Stripling, and I don't know why, but Anthony Rizzo could not see the ball out of this guy's hand. I just remember that he was missing the ball by like a foot, and that's very unlike Rizzo. So that was one thing I took from the early innings. But Monty, 5 innings, 2 runs, 5 Ks. I'm a broken record with that guy. He's the same every time. That plays every time. I'll take that every single time. Gave us a chance. And we really weren't getting the bats going until the top of the 4th, and Glaber went oppo. He crushed this ball. to tie it at 2. Or no, actually we took the lead and then they came back in the bottom of the 4th. Monty actually hung a really bad couple pitches to Bichette and then Chapman. I was jinxing Bichette. I jinxed the whole series with Bichette. He'd been terrible all year. And that was like my take going into the year. So I was like, oh, he's hitting 210. Guy got a hit a game at least. I think he had 2 hits in like 2 of the games. So that's my bad. But yeah, after it got 2-2, the game stalled. I mean, again, being a broken record, Laza, Castro, Holmes, 3 scoreless innings. I mean, this is the day this goes away. I'm going to be really upset. I'm knock on wood, it just never goes away because this has been such a reliable bullpen. We get to the 9th, still knotted at 2. And this is, I mean, a huge game for us to steal game 1 on the road against Toronto. And Stanton let it off with a single in the 9th. I feel like with Stanton, no matter how he's hitting, he's always good for some late inning, like get on base. We've done the Stanton gets on base and then LeCastro comes in the pinch run like 100 times this year. Your guy, Timmy Lowe, he's so fast. And he stole. The whole place knew he was stealing. He still stole. Then Donaldson didn't get the job done, which was frustrating. He hit a grounder to 3rd, which is like the one thing you can't do with a runner on 2nd and no outs. Again, got to find the role. I'm being patient, which is usually the other way around, but I'm being patient with this guy, even though he's getting paid $100 million, it seems like. Yeah, and then Hicks K, I'm numb to it at this point. Big spot, Hicks strikeout. What are you gonna do? And then Glaber comes back up, just a clutch single, drives in LeCastro. He carried us this game. I mean, he was the whole offense, clutch hit after clutch hit. It was huge. And then in comes Chad Green, and I almost had a meltdown. He does the puppy dog face and he throws 94 down the middle, but it worked. He got the save. Got the result we needed, so I was all smiles. It was a stressful game. It felt like we got away with one, considering Glaber was the only one that's hit, and he hasn't been right in a couple of years. But it was a huge confidence booster for him. He is still a very important part of this team, even though he wasn't the opening day starter. And I think if right now, game 1 of the postseason, he may not actually start either. He's still a vital piece to this team. It's close, bro. Like, you think – you're right. He would DH. We're not DHing Hicks or Gallo, and Stan's playing the field. Regardless, he's kind of served as the 10th man this year, and it was good to see him get a game where he is the guy again. And it gave us big momentum in the game 2, and we took advantage of that.
Yeah, in the playoffs, I'm down with like flip-flopping Glaber and Giancarlo between the DH spot because like those are the 2 guys that just don't really want playing the field. But are we going to talk about was it this? Yeah, it was this game. Giancarlo climbing the wall. I mean, that was just awesome. I mean, Giancarlo, hasn't played a lot of defense with the New York Yankees, and he comes in and he's just playing right field, the position that he, right fielder by trade. He just climbs the wall. I mean, he's Spider-Man. Dude's a Superman. I mean, if he's hitting well and he can, somewhat play defense, it's awesome. And especially if he's going to play defense like four out of 7 days a week, because a week is 7 days. Just really, that was really cool. I like seeing Stanton do stuff on defense because I never really thought he was ever going to play defense on the Yankees, and here he is doing it. So shout out to Yoga. The next game, and I said to Luke, I said to my father, if the Yankees win tonight's game against Alek Manoah, I will call the Yankees the best team in the American League. And I know I said in the open that they were the top 2 team, but Alek Manoah, for someone who's been pitching, 2-3 years in the league, and he owns you, that's it says a lot. And he did it again. He just pitch after pitch after pitch after pitch. Didn't we have like really something goofy in the first inning? Donaldson swung out a pitch at his head. I mean, the dude's just like winding up, and then the pitch at his head, and he's like trying to hit the ball and like trying to so it doesn't hit him,
I don't think there was a single strike thrown in that at bat because the 2-0 pitch, he took the first 2 ball. The third pitch, you were on the phone with your dad, and the ball is just a foot outside, like actually not close, which I was not happy with. Then he gets to 3-1 and he swings at the tomahawk. He's like the sophomore in high school that gets called up to varsity and is just trying to do everything. Like, just relax, man. He's had a moment. He's had a couple moments where it's been like, dude, figure it out. And this was definitely one of them. We needed a run early off Manoah, and we didn't get it. We felt that throughout the game. Luckily, it worked out, but that was definitely something where if we got a run, the whole game would have been different.
For sure. And, to shift to the pitching. I mean, J-Mo, buddy, 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts. Did you think I was going to read a bad line? No. I mean, I'm starting to think that the Yankees might muster up, $18 million, give him 3-4 years in the offseason, because if he can be your 5th starter and he's just going to keep giving you these starts over and over and over, and it probably won't last, marking my words, but he is a guy that just knows how to pitch. Ever since that Philly start last year that I was sadly at, he, turned the page, and now he's a much different pitcher. He's throwing elevated fastballs. He's throwing a sinker. He's throwing a curveball that's not right down the middle like it was last year. Just a very different pitcher. And, I kind of hope they bring him back. Look, do you want J-Mo back?
I'm confused at how this is all going to play out, because they have, even though they don't view Mike King as a starter, I think eventually you're going to have to if he's still going this crazy. And even if you don't, Clark Schmidt's just still sick. So I'm thinking, and then Nestor's just a wild card, man. He just keeps putting up good starts. Like the last 2, there was another one, the one you talked about, and then another one after that, where he didn't visually look like he had anything, and he still got the result we needed against a horrible matchup in Toronto. They're all righty power hitters that are going to hit bombs, and he limited them. So he's really the deciding. I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't. I think they should. But thinking about the roster, I don't know. I think they should, but they could go a lot of different ways with the pitching, and I'm excited to see. I mean, Matt Blake seems like he can fix anybody at this point. So I think that definitely plays in. They're not going to want to overpay for one of their strengths. But yeah, I mean, he's pitching lights out right now for sure. I definitely would love to have him back.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's a little too early, and you don't know who's going to flop. And so, but I think they still have three starting pitchers that is a lock next, or sorry, 4 actually. So it's really just a battle for the 5th spot. And if it's a battle between Michael King and Clark Schmidt for the fifth spot, I'm not going to be crying, especially if you got to pay J-Mo $18 million, like I just said, or 16 sounds cool. Back to the game. So Bo Bichette, RBI knock, 1-0 Blue Jays. Thank you, Luke. Top of the 6th, get Hicks on single. I guess it was a 1-out single, and Judge comes up, and it's a big spot. So what does Aaron Hicks do? Caught stealing. Yeah. I mean, that's just what it is. Even when he has control of his actions, he just you know what I mean. So that was later in the Judge at bat. This Judge at bat against Manoah is a matchup that you want to see. 6'7" versus 6'7", 280 versus 280. Crowd on their feet, clapping. I watched a Mark DeRosa video on MLB Network. I encourage anyone who's listening right now, hope you're listening, to go check it out, because he breaks down it pitch to pitch. And Manoah was going fastball, and then he threw him 3 sliders in a row. And on 3 and 2, Hicks got thrown out on a slider, mind you. 3-2 count. He's thrown him 3 sliders in a row. You would think he would go to slider, but Judge knows that he just missed a couple sliders, so he's going to go fastball. 3-2, crowd roaring, 2 outs, fastball, middle in, bing bong, home run. I mean, he got all of it, and the crowd just went. Pfft. And there already aren't a lot of fans there, so I mean, it was like a minor league stadium. So I'm not going to dog Hicks too much, because he had a 2-for-3, 2 walk, run scored, RBI game, so he gets a break for this one, not the next one, but for this one. So it was a really cool, yeah, he got thrown out. Sure, the Yankees were going to take the lead, but it didn't really matter because in the 7th inning, things went just sideways and the New York Yankees just went bonkers. Yeah, Josh Donaldson with an RBI double. Like, whoa, like where'd this come from? Shout out Nick for, calling it because you just needed to relax. What did Nick say? He said, you just need to relax, just bloop on the left. And, Donaldson didn't bloop to the left. He just cranked it in the left. So that was cool. And Marwin comes up, double. So now it's 3-1. And, you've got the momentum now. And then the infamous Jose Trevino, fielder's choice, hits it on the ground to the right side. Vlad comes home with it. Marwin's getting in a rundown. I'm like, here we go again. Here's the 2021 Yankees just running into outs. I don't know if the bases were I don't know. The bases were not loaded. So that's why Marwin was in a rundown. Gets in a rundown, and he's going back and forth, and the throw gets the third, and he just turns around, and Vlad tags him on the head, on the helmet. The ump just doesn't call it, and he just goes completely out of the baseline and scores. And it was the most funny, awesome play to just cap off a great inning. And there was more. But, I mean, he's Marwin, the finesse kid. He's awesome. They didn't have a challenge. They couldn't challenge it. Vlad was angry. I would have been angry. What a play.
I couldn't get over how laughably out of the baseline the guy was. Like, it's one thing you miss. Like, when you speed it up, that call isn't as awful as it looks, obviously, when you're slow-mowing it. Like, yeah, he got him, but it's like things happen. He was so out of the baseline. And I was watching the replay. We were just, like, dying laughing because it was just the most illegal run I think I've ever seen. I've never seen something like that. And that took the air out of the balloon for Toronto, obviously. I know you're going to get into how that went down, but it completely – the game was done after that. It was such a momentum hold. Like, we knew it wasn't going away the rest of the game.
Well, if the game wasn't already over and you want to give Aaron Hicks for a semi-clutch hit, opposite field knock, 5-1 Yankees. Aaron Judge comes up because he just knows he's just going to get paid that big bag. Hopefully it's not from Steve Cohen. 2-run double into the gap, bring it to 7. And then in the 9th, Stanton comes up, 444 foot homer, because that's a bunch of syllables or one syllable words. And it's 9-1 Yankees. And it's just great because then you don't got to use the bullpen. You can just throw Lucas Licky in there. He can give up 5 runs and we'd still win 9-6. But he didn't give up a run because the bullpen's just awesome. And I don't care if it's broken record. I'm going to keep talking about it. I don't think I've seen a Yankee bullpen this good in my life or do this well. So, yeah, good win. 9-1. Best team in the American League. And they made me question that in the 3rd game. But I'm not mad with 2 out of 3 from the Blue Jays in Toronto. Luke, talk about it.
Yeah, the 3rd time's the charm with the infamous punt day. It wasn't like, obviously the pitching came to play, but we just had a hard time getting stuff going against Kikuchi, which I'm very surprised about because we murdered him last year against the Mariners. And I was looking at that game on the calendar, just being like, if we can get through the first 2, we're going to kill this guy. And we didn't at all. He diced us. He had 6 innings, 1 run, 7 Ks, only 1 walk. I'll get into the 6th inning. They were getting Judge all day. They called like 4 pitches below the zone. I don't know what that guy's problem is, but whatever. Yeah, that's bound to happen once in a while with our Giants. Chapman hit a nuke off of Nestor. I was like, oh boy, we're in for – that was a bomb. I don't know if it was just a shot. Like, once he hit it, I was like, that's gone. He didn't have it this game at all stuff-wise. It felt like he walked 4 guys. He got through 4 innings, 2 runs, though, which, you take from Nestor Cortez. I'm not going to be that angry about it. Especially with an off day tomorrow, we were able to, use the full bullpen, which it turned out we didn't really even need to.
And the big win the prior night.
Yeah, and the huge win the prior night. Exactly. We had some leeway with that, but still, he didn't have it 4 innings, 2 runs. I'm not going to go crazy about it. But after the Chapman bomb, Joey Gallo answered with another home run. He's heating up a little bit. Well, I'm worried he's gonna do just enough to get a new contract. Like, that's how I feel. I just can't. Dude, the whole shift thing, it's so annoying. Boris, he's gonna grill that in these GMs. I just hope someone pays more than we do, honestly. Because man, I can't have this guy hitting in the lineup every day. And like we talked about earlier today, when him and Hicks are back to back in the lineup, I'm seriously wondering if we've won a game with that stack because it's the worst stack in the history of ever.
I mean, if the Yankees don't sign Joey Gallo, he might go unsigned. He might go unsigned. He might be a free agent forever. Who wants him? It gets to a point where it's like, who? And if it's us, I'm afraid we're going to be competing with ourselves. And we're just going to overpay. And I'm just going to be a miserable human being for like a week. And then the entire season. Especially if Judge isn't there. So I'm not talking about Joey Gallo in negative light this episode because I just did. So just carry on.
Yeah, and then the bottom of the third, that was probably the most frustrating Nestor inning we got all year. He K'd the first two hitters, and then he had Bo 0-2, hung one for a double, obviously, because that's the second time that happened, just completely my doing. And then he tried to sidearm Vladdy, and Vladdy poked it to right. Someone finally got him trying to do the sidearm, which took your cap, especially for Garrett Cole, because that guy's a menace. But yeah, after 2-1, the game stalled. We really had two chances to score. It was the top of the sixth, Higgy leadoff double, which that's like Christmas. That was like, oh my God, we're going to take the lead here. And then DJ got him to third with a 0-2 grounder to the right side, which is just great execution. Then Judge works the count full, and there's a ball at his shoes they call strike, which led to things later. But I mean, you can't give up. You can't make that call in that moment. That just changes the whole game. And then Rizzo popped up. He hasn't looked great against lefties off the top of my head this year, which, I mean, he's a lefty. I understand it to an extent, but it would have been nice. It would have been really nice in a game where you're struggling for runs. And other than that, I mean, King went crazy. 3 innings, 3 Ks, like nothing. He was spotless. Then we get our way to the ninth, still only down 1. And Rizzo leads off against Jordan Romano and just misses an absolute nuke. That would have been nice to have. It's one of those you can't even get mad at him for. Like, he just missed it. It's like that's baseball. And Stanton followed it up with a single that was probably 3,000 miles an hour off the bat. Castro again. He didn't steal, but Donaldson singled. First and second, 1 out. Hicks, strikeout, obviously. When taking notes for this game, I didn't even write that he struck out. I just wrote Hicks because we know what happens at this point. What's going to happen? It's Aaron Hicks. And then Gallo works a walk. They were pitching around him. They were a little scared of him. 3-0 takes a huge hack, just completely whiffs. That's fine. Work the walk. Bases loaded. I'm not mad at IKF coming up in this spot, even though it did seem like he rolled over to Matt Chapman every single at bat this whole series. But Chapman spiked it, made it a little interesting. Vladdy dug it. We don't know if he was on the base. I thought he definitely like grazed it at some point. It was such like a long, I don't know. There's no way they were gonna overturn it. But I'm not gonna. I mean, they really got it to us, especially in the 8th when Boone just had enough during Judge's at bat. Mid at bat, came out screaming. I was a little like, I wish it happened in between innings because it definitely iced Judge out of the at bat. Like, how are you supposed to stay locked in for a full minute of your manager screaming? So that was kind of a bummer, but I thought that was going to rally us in the 9th, and it didn't. It's just good to see Boone stand up for his guys because we can't have like Judge or Stanton or Rizzo or DJ or anybody actually get thrown out of an important divisional game. It didn't work out, but I mean, everything was there. We just didn't get the big hit.
Yeah, Vlad wasn't on the base, and we have a 12-game winning streak. So, yeah, our winning streak ended at 11, except it didn't. And, it's just kind of deflating, sort of. You win all those games, and, you can't score, especially off the pitcher, probably the worst pitcher you're going to see because it's between Stripling and Kikuchi. So, is what it is. 2 out of 3, You just keep winning baseball games. It's fine. And then, the next series. But speaking of Aaron Hicks and Joey Gallo, did this a lot last season, early on in the season. I think the Yankees should make a trade. And I have a proposal. How about Charlie Chuck Nasty Blackmon? I mean, this year he's slashing 256, 315, 463. He's got 4 home runs, 12 RBIs. Dude's a professional hitter. He's left-handed, and he's in his final season of his contract with Colorado, and he's making a solid amount of money this year, which will lower his value, lower the package. And I think they're going to, a couple of our pitching prospects will get the deal done, considering Colorado is always looking for starting pitching. Blackmon, if you look at his advanced stats so far this season, I know it's early, but 85 whiff percentage, 79 chase rate, 71 sprint speed. He's still pretty fast. He's putting the bat on the ball. He's not really striking out. His exit velocity is pretty low, but so be it. And he doesn't play great defense. But I think what it's going to boil down to it is the Yankees are going to need a player that's going to come up in a spot, and you want him up. He's a major league professional hitter. You would want him up more than other guys on the that are already on the team. I think Charlie Blackmon is a guy that would be perfect for the Yankees. And I think Brian Cashman should make Chuck Nasty a Bronx Bomber. What do you think, Luke?
I hate Aaron Hicks and Joey Gallo right now. I really do. I don't hate them. I understand more. Like, Gallo's just insane. I don't understand what he's doing on the team. Hicks, I see why he's there, but it's just like the clutch situations thing for me has been clear as day, and I just don't think he has much of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Executional game. Like, he isn't, when he's up, he's not looking to execute, I feel like. And I just think we need another veteran, another guy who's gonna kind of more balanced, more not necessarily balanced, but he's just better. I just think he's a better baseball player, and I think Hicks would be a great fourth outfielder. And I think Gallo could do whatever he wants, and I don't care as long as he's not on the field consistently. He starts hitting, dude. They're not gonna. It's so annoying. I'm telling you right now, he's gonna hit fine until the All-Star break, and then or the trade deadline. And then plummet, and then it's gonna be too late to make a deal, and we're gonna be in no man's land. That's what's gonna happen. Yeah, I would be fine with that. Another guy we talked about, Benintendi, contract year, just another option. We just needed a left.
Is Benintendi in a contract year? Oh, okay.
Pretty sure we talked about that. I'm like 95%. Anyway, either way, the Royals aren't winning this year anyway. This year and next year probably. So it's like another good option. I just think we need a better left fielder when it boils down to it. I think Hicks would make a good fourth outfielder. I've said that since the beginning of the year. So, yeah, I'm all on board with making a trade for an outfielder for sure, especially with how the pitching's doing. We have more prospects to allocate towards the offensive side of the ball. So, yeah.
I mean, if you make Aaron Hicks your fourth outfielder, you could plug and play him against left-handed starting pitching. And I think that's where he's best. And it would be cool to bring in another left-handed outfielder that's not named Joey Gallo. That's just he's a gamer. I think Charlie Blackmon's a gamer. You don't really see him too much because he plays in a small market in Colorado. And you could say that his numbers are significantly better at Coors Field, and they are. I just think, you bring him under the big lights. He's a veteran. I don't think he would crumble. I don't know. He might not want to shave his beard, but he has no choice if we get him. You can keep the mustache though. Yeah, and he's in the last year of his contract. He got a 5-year, $98 million contract. He got a big deal. He won a batting title in 2017. He's a 4-time All-Star. I pair him back up with DJ LeMahieu. It would just be better than what they have now. Benintendi's hitting so well right now. I feel like they would just try to they would try to ask for too much. And I don't think Charlie Blackmon's gonna. I don't think the package for Blackmon would be too. Maybe you throw in a Wisniewski or somebody else in the minor league system, but I wouldn't be kicking myself because there's a good chance he wouldn't excel in Colorado. So that's that. They play the Rangers at home. Rangers got to come all the way up from Texas because that's where they play baseball. And of course, we're facing none other than former Yankee farmhand, the guy that we sent to the Rangers for Joey Gallo, Glenn Otto, who's got a 2.89 ERA this year. And, Garrett Cole's on the bump. And I've got a weird feeling that Glenn Otto is going to come into the place where he once could have been and he's going to pitch really well. But, hopefully Garrett Cole doesn't, give up a home run to Marcus Semien, which would be his first on the season. Nice contract, Texas. And hope we win that game. Then it's Dunning versus Severino. We faced Dunning last year. I believe it was the game where Judge and Urshela both had pinch hit RBIs. I don't know if you remember that. Maybe it was Glaber as well. But, he held us down for most of it. He's got like a solid under 3.5 ERA this season, and then Severino's pitching. So hopefully he can bounce back and start, making the most of his repertoire. And John Gray pitching the third game, another great contract from Texas. Just an absolute, just a spaz move. Just not a good contract. He's got a 7.5 ERA this year. You would think he'd be able to pitch better outside of Coors Field, and he's not. So let's hope that, he's a guy that we haven't faced a lot. Hopefully that's not really a problem. We haven't really talked about that a lot. Guys that we haven't faced. And maybe they just haven't hit the guys that we haven't faced, but I just feel like last year that was a much, clearer issue of the team. I did want to say something, and I know I talked about it earlier, but I want to say this episode is brought to you by Z89. Tune into 89.1 FM if you're in the central New York area, or turn up Z89 on your iHeartRadio app. You can listen to the Monument Bark podcast on Z89.com, as well as YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Luke, anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, 2 out of 3 in this series would be so much more different. Not more different. That's not the right grammar, but so much better than 1 out of 3. I feel like 1 out of 3, we would be kind of going backwards, not winning a series against Texas at home. And then 2 out of 3 is just another series, wouldn't keep it moving. So I definitely think 2 out of 3 is mandatory here. But I think we should be able to get it done. I mean, we're the better team. We just got to play better baseball. Yeah, that's all. Great episode, honestly. It was hard not to be. We had an 11-game winning streak, so that was a lot of fun.
Thank you guys for listening and watching. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.